Okay, so a conditional statement, if you go to Google Images, you'll see examples using flowcharts, you'll see examples in truth tables, but basically it's just if something happens, then do something else, or don't do anything. A classic one is, if it is raining, then take an umbrella. Okay, so to use this with Unity, I've got just a cube and a plane. The cube is set, so when you add a cube onto your scene, it will be at 0, 0, 0. I'm just going to change the Y value to 10. Okay, then just click Create, make a new C# script. I've called it Conditional. Okay, and then double click. Now what we're going to do is put something in the update function here. Start, okay, only runs once. Okay, but we want to update continuously, because what we're going to try and do is get the cube, or get the Y value of the cube to change. Okay, every frame of the animation we want it to change. So I'll start at 10. Just go back to the code. So what we're saying is, if, now the object is this one. When I say this code, conditional, will be dragged onto the cube. So we're looking at this game object. So that's what the word this means. So this dot, so is this dot, this is the object that we're going to affect. By transforming the position of the Y value, and we're saying if the position of the Y value is less than or equal to 0, then, so I'm just going to put this, the curved brackets around the outside. Now if you think about it, if the cube is at position 0, actually we don't want anything to happen. Okay, so actually here you would do the opening squiggle, closing squiggle, and leave it blank. Okay, because you don't need to do anything. You want it to stay where it is if it reaches position 0. Else, now this is where you'll actually put the code in. If it is not less than or equal to 0, okay, so if it's not less than or equal to 0, then you want to change the Y value. So again, you're doing this object, and you're going to, I think it's transform. And then this time you're looking at the, oops, should be the vector 3. Okay, it's transform, that's it, translates. A lot of these kind of built-in functions won't make a great deal of sense, but actually with any programming languages you will have these built-in functions that the code is already written, and you can then just use them. Vector 3 should have come up actually, surprised it doesn't come up. Okay, vector 3 basically means we're changing the x, y and z value of this object. And actually with this mono develop, I put a full stop or a period, and I was expecting something, but that tells me what I've done is wrong. So actually it's an open bracket. So then there you go. Then I want a vector 3. Okay, vector 3. So I'm changing the x, y and z value of that object. In this case, actually, all I'm going to do is change the, I think I've got up, okay, up. So I'm going to change the up value and I'm going to times it by 0. minus 0.1, something like that. So if I save that, what should happen, this is a kind of a roundabout way of doing it. It almost is the opposite to how you would say it. But you're saying if the cube has not reached 0, if the y value has not reached 0, or if it has reached 0, do nothing. Otherwise, keep moving the y value, or keep subtracting 0.1 from the y value. The other thing is, if you get a message like that, and you can click on it, it does actually give you a clue. It says the word double. Some programming languages, you'll see the word double, which is kind of like a point value, so 4.5, 5.5. Because we're using 0.1, if I put 1, I think that would actually work. I do file and save, compile it. Okay, so it's worked, because it presumes that it's an integer, but I don't want it to be an integer, I want it to be a 0.1. So I'm going to put an F there for floats. Floats is, again, it's like a 0.1, 0.2. So I'm just going to save that and just try and compile that again. Okay, so that is compiled. I should be able to drag the code onto the cube. I'm going to change the value to 10, click play, and what should happen, lovely. Okay, and that is a simple conditional statement. You could actually just check if you run it, and you can just check the final position of the cube. I've got it on maximum, so it might not, I think it will reset. Okay, but you can, when the animation's running, if I untick, okay, there you go. Interesting, because it actually stops at, doesn't stop at 0, it gets, so the code actually says less than or equal to 0. But I think so it actually goes slightly further, so it probably takes the center of the cube as the moment when that bit there, the actual center axis of the cube. But for this purposes, that's fine. Okay, so there you go. Now what we could do is when the cube hits the actual plane, we could then get the cube to do something. So then you're seeing, as I've got here, that's the bit of code that we've got at the moment. So we're changing the y position until it gets to 0. If I come back to the code, but we're actually not doing anything yet. So what we could do is just copy that and then just very simply get it to maybe change the, just put dot. Okay. I think what I'm going to do is the scale. Okay, yeah, I can see I need to take translate out. So it's transform dot local scale. So it's vector free. So this time we're going to change the, so when the cube hits the plane, we'll change the x and the z value. So we're doing x, y. So the y value we want to keep as it is. And then we're going to change the z value. So I should be able to just copy that, paste it. dot z. And so what should happen, if the position of the cube is less than or equal to 0, it's going to then change the x and the y value. I'll just make sure this does work. Oops, wrong one. Okay. I think that should be new. Just trying to. Okay. So hopefully, looking at the code, right, I need to change the camera angle, I think. Change the camera angle. Actually, I'll pause the video, change the camera angle and change the color, I think, and then we'll see better. Actually, I just quickly made a material and changed the cube color. I just made the cube slightly bigger by 222, but what I've just realized when I was putting 2, 2 and 2 in is I think back on the code. Okay, so I actually changed the scale of the y to 0, which probably means it will disappear. Okay, so I'll just try that again, and that should, it will compile and it should hopefully, okay, not a problem. Not a problem, but also I think, I'm just looking at that and I think I know why, because I've just put, I'm timesing it by that, I should have put a 1 in. So, because I'm actually timesing it in by 0.01, so the thing gets very, very small. I think because I was looking at that one. Right, third time, lucky. It should do something good. Okay. Lovely. Okay, so that is what I was expecting. So it's then a simple conditional statement. I'll just do a follow-up to this if I'm looking at this one. So that's basically what we've got at the moment. So what I'm going to try and do is if, else, and then an else if. So we're then doing a slightly more detailed if-else statement.